What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS. Be sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you know your polling place in your county and vote early. So let's just get into these ridiculous things that Donald Trump had to say at the National Association of Black Journalists. I wouldn't even call it a conference. It was something that was pretty much curated for him to be able to speak to the Black journalists, allow them to, well, have a few of them, ask him some questions, press him on some things, and see what his responses are going to be. But let's just be clear. The only reason why Donald Trump did this, it wasn't to speak to the, like he loves to say, the blacks. It wasn't to speak to Black voters, African Americans, minorities. It wasn't to speak to issues that were, or that are involving them, they relate to, they're concerned about, and address these issues and just share how he would be the right candidate to address the issues and concerns that they have. No, the only reason why he did this was to speak to his base, okay, to his MAGAs, to let him know that I ain't afraid of these ninjas. I'll go right to their face and tell them how I really feel. They could take it or leave it, and they can kiss my ass crack on the way out the door. That's why he did this. It was to get them more hyped up for voting for him versus getting anyone that would remotely even consider voting for him over Kamala Harris, to give them reasons as to why they should vote for him. Because he really doesn't care. He feels how he feels about minorities, people of color, Black people, African Americans, whatever. He let y'all know a long time ago when he paid for and wrote up a full-page article calling for the death penalty, the execution of the 5 guys, the 5 men who were accused of doing what happened to the Central Park jogger, who was a white woman. And then when they were all released and were found to not have been involved in it, he refused to apologize. He let you all know a long time ago, okay? So that's the only reason why he went there, right? So let's just go ahead and get into these clips.
It's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working, or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you
I have answered the question. I have been the best president for the Black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define it?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
Give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not.
So if you caught that, he pretty much was saying that y'all ninjas are starting this on CP time, colored people time, because he said you were 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment set up. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. I was told this. I was told that. I don't know how they sat there and even dealt with him. I just couldn't do it. I could not do it. But they tried to, and I won't say they tried to. They definitely were professional dealing with him, but oh my God, I don't know how anyone could sit there and be as professional and cool and calm as they were with him. And I'm not saying that they should go off and act unseemly, but I just couldn't deal with him at all.
Your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
Give me
a definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty.
You know how he always does the thing about somebody being nasty or rude, always projecting, because he is disgusting, all right? I don't care if Kamala Harris has only claimed one side most of her life and now she's trying to claim another side, which, let's just be honest, it's not true. The fact of the matter is she is biracial or even multiracial, if we want to go deep. But a lot of us are. If we go and check out our DNA and our heritage and our history, there's multiple things, most of us. But she went to an HBCU. She was in a black, we want to call it a black sorority. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't subscribe to any of those things when it comes to fraternities or sororities, but you do your thing if that's what you choose to do. She's not like Meghan Markle, who pretty much tried to live her life not claiming that portion of her at all until it either was beneficial to her in some way, shape, or form. No, Kamala Harris, we have always known this about her, those that even know about her. So him even bringing that up was so irrelevant. It was so disgusting. And it was like, what is your point in even doing that? Well, she always was claiming Indian, and now she wants to claim black. Oh, really now? And what are you claiming? Are you claiming tangerine? Are you claiming orange? Are you claiming nectarine or peach? are you claiming? Like what are you claiming? Because you're definitely not white. And see, and that's one of the reasons why I've often said, I may say the black and the white thing, but I've been one of these people where I never liked those terms, because it seems like in this country, you only are dealing with color when it comes to those that are labeled as African Americans or Caucasians. But you will never call someone who's Mexican a color. You will never call someone who is of Native American heritage a color. You will never call someone of an Asian ethnicity a color. You would never call someone who is of an Arab ethnicity a color. Those things are social constructs that were created to divide and conquer. So him even sitting there and talking about that was just so extremely disrespectful. Even if the people in that audience and on that stage call themselves black, it's unfortunately, I will say unfortunately, it's one of those things that society has created. But we're not color. We're more than that. So we're all more than a color. So absolutely, Kamala Harris had the right to claim her Indian heritage, her Jamaican heritage, if she wanted to call it black heritage, whatever. I don't care. She's more qualified and dignified than he will ever be. Ever. And quite frankly, him claiming to be white but wanting to be orange all the time, who has the self-hate here? Okay? Like, seriously. And those are just a few of the clips from the NABJ symposium or whatever they, wanted to call it. But the only reason why he showed up there was to stick it to them, to let them know, I ain't afraid of y'all. I ain't afraid of y'all ninjas. And he don't call them ninjas, call them something else. Multiple people said that he definitely uses that word, and I believe every single one of them. The N word with the R or the ER at the end. All right. And so he is extremely exhausting. I commend the people who were up on the panel that were asking him these questions and able to get through it and not get up and curse him out, roll their neck and snap their fingers and all that other good type, stuff when you get so pissed off. But that's the only reason why he showed up. He did not show up there to try to reach across the aisle, to show grace and to answer questions and to get some understanding. And, it's amazing how his ear healed up. You see that? Anybody else see that? They claim a bullet went through his ear. People are saying that a bullet went through his ear. Where's that? Where's that part? Because to me, the air is looking pretty good these days. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly, guys. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful. And now I'm going to say bye.